All right. Welcome, everyone. Today we have our good friend Theo joining us. And Theo, I've been waiting to get you on our podcast because you have a wealth of knowledge, whether it's in NFT, Web3, or even Web2, right? It's all this. And I think when we were in Melbourne for the for the what do you call it, NFT Fest, right?
Melbourne NFT.
Yeah, even NFT Fest before
Melbourne.
that
Yes.
before that, and we heard a lot about good things about you, and we could not wait to meet you as one of the you're doing some crazy stuff down at Melbourne, and we do miss all this activity. We
Mhm.
don't get that much activity on the Gold Coast, right? So I've been wanting to get you on our podcast and have a really good chat and share your experience. So what has I missed, Charlie?
No, I think you got it all. Got it all,
Yeah.
Cosy. Yeah.
All right. On that note, Theo, I would pass the mic to you to give a little bit about, tell our audience what you do and where it all started.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, gents. It's been great getting to know you boys, and I think it's I love when serendipitous things happen, right? So the way we met, it was just pretty organic, and we I didn't get to stay that much that night, which is unfortunate, but
Yeah.
we got to make up for it the other times we've caught up. You guys have supported NFT Melbourne, especially the last event, so we really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm really humbled to be invited on this show as well. So keen to jump into things. Bit about me: I've been in business, small businesses, for a bit over 20 odd years. Most of that being in the music industry. I've been in tech for about a decade now across a couple of different disciplines, I guess. The current business that I have in Web2 that takes a lot of my time is called Out in the Clouds. We're a Salesforce partner mostly, so we do Salesforce implementations, but we also build websites and dabble in a couple other things as well. And that's how I actually met my business partner Mark, who we have Lucky NFT with, which owns the NFT Melbourne brand, and we do a couple other things in the Web3 space. We have, I guess, essentially competing businesses in the Web2 world, so we met through that world, and I've been buying crypto for what's it now? 6 years. Next month it'll be 6 years.
Wow.
And then Mark and I as I said, we probably met around about the same time, but saw me talking a lot about NFTs probably about 3 years ago now. And then we off the back of that, we started to get closer and chat a lot more. And then we started sharing, different things with each other across the NFT space. And ultimately he said, hey, we both collectively have the knowledge and the passion for the space. We've run agencies before. Why don't we set up a company that does the things that we're good at and we've proven to be good at over time? So that's where, that's what kicked off our business, endeavors, I guess, in the Web3 space. But yeah, myself, like I said, it's come up through the music industry. I've also been I still am a producer / audio engineer and a performer as well.
I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know?
No.
And I'm
Wow.
obsessed with basketball and Michael Jordan and number 23. And you asked me for a funny story, actually.
Oh, yes.
Every gambler will tell you about the money they've won, not the money they've lost. So I'm going to tell you about the money I've won. So I have this thing with a mate of mine who now lives in Sydney, where often when we get together, if we're at the casino, we'll go and put money on 23. And it's now been 3 times out of 5 where just about as we're about to leave, we'll put about $100 on 23 and it's hit. So we are up. Like, if you count just the times we've gone for that, we're up. But if you count all the other stuff we've lost, we're definitely not
up. Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh, that is so good. That's so good. What's your experience on that, Charlie?
Oh, casinos. Well, that's my perfect night out at the casino. I take a couple $100. Me and the wife take a couple $100. We get a couple drinks, throw a bit down on the tables, and it's either a really good night or it's a short night. Either way, it's good.
Correct, mate. There's obviously a lot of money in it, and there's a bloke in Melbourne. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
In the crypto casino space, he bought this place in Turak for $80 million, and he's spending another $80 million renovating it.
Wow.
So that's where all our money goes.
Yeah, the house always wins, isn't it? So,
yeah.
But everything's moderation is all good. I heard. So yeah.
Sorry for sidetracking the show.
No, that's
all good,
mate. But yeah, speaking of when you first got in gambling, I guess you'd remember the what was it, the fun token, fun token back in 2017-18, the casino token. It's died out a lot now over the years. It's why wouldn't you just use Bitcoin to gamble with?
Yeah. Well, mate, across that time, every idea caught fire through the ICO phase, right? But digital casinos at that time was huge. They still are, but the emergence of it during that sort of middle to end 2010s was pumping. I had a mate that was that had businesses and affiliates through there, and it was going insane. But yeah, those tokens back then, anyone would. I mean, it's similar to the NFT craze, right? Anyone sort of put money on anything during that period.
100%.
So, Theo, what was how did your journey start into crypto 6 years ago? Like, how did that come about?
Funnily enough, I mean, I was following Bitcoin and ETH from afar during that phase. I'd actually I've only ever had one. I've had more than one job, but I've only really ever had one. I've never had another office job other than this, right? And I got made redundant from it early that year, 2017. So financially, it didn't really make sense to then put money into what then was quite a new thing. And I mean, it's still risky, but even riskier back then. So the catalyst was one of my wife's best friends, who was actually the maid of honor at our wedding, incorporated a coin into her startup. So that was like the catalyst to be like, all right, cool, I'm going to buy some Bitcoin and transfer it into, or essentially purchase coins in her ICO. So at that time, the instructions that she gave everyone was go to localbitcoins.com.
Good old local
Bitcoins. I'm literally giving someone a temporary pin to my bank account to go and get the $300 that I'm buying or whatever it was at the time, and just hoping that the escrow works and then awesome. There's Bitcoin in my account. That's great. Now what I do, and sort of going into what was it back then? It was I've still got the apps on my phone. Exodus was around back then, so I think we were using that from a wallet perspective, and I do. I think
and, Edge as well was another popular
but the two,
one.
The two we were using was, I think it was Edu or I do and an Exodus. Anyway, so that's what got me eventually to put money in, and that was obviously the first really that hit the media from a bull run perspective. We're sort of in the middle of it, so we bought some of her token, and then I used that as an excuse to then put some money into Bitcoin and ETH as well. I'm the type of person, talking about gambling, that holes burn in my pocket very quickly, in the sense that I don't like to just let things sit. And I've changed a lot, like since what happened to me early 2018, which is what we're getting to. And I sort of was following like all these different shonksters and videos and stuff telling me to put money into all these coins, and they all went up. So I thought, gee, I'm a bloody genius here. And then, inevitably we all know what happened at the start of 2018. And, got humbled very, very quickly and held all the way to zero. But yeah, man, I mean, that's what got me in. And then I sort of just let it sit there, consolidated it all into Bitcoin and ETH, and then sort of rode it through the fun of 2020, and then ultimately into NFTs.
Oh my god, that 2018, mate. I thought to myself, oh my god. Before that, I started in 2016, and I'm like, oh my god, this is just doubling. Like, this is like the this is Dublin outside of Dublin. You know what I mean? So it's just, I'm like, I must be
Crazy.
an awesome trader, right? And I'm like, oh, this is like so good. Oh my god, I got humbled by that 2018. Just like you can just see it's coming down. I'm like, okay, no, it's gonna go up. It's gonna go up. And I'm a shit trader. I don't even know how to gamble. So I think and they're the good times in a sense. I would say that it really taught you, first, the bear market and all that. I think it's good education,
Oh, for
which
sure. Everyone has to experience it. For
hundred
sure.
percent.
You've got to learn the hard way, or you won't learn. Hey,
Oh
you
no,
got
exactly.
to
You'll
live
keep
through it.
repeating it, and then understanding, like having the ability or the will and the curiosity, I guess, of sticking around and working out, like, what have you actually, like, why are you still here? Why do you still believe in it? Who's building what? It's literally the same thing that's happened in NFTs, right? And that's where we are
Mm,
now.
Yeah.
that's so
From an
true.
NFT perspective, like the people that have stuck around and stayed active are genuinely trying to see what others are building and why we're actually investing our time into this versus how am I going to make quick money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And especially and we saw the same thing what happened in crypto happening in NFTs as well. And guess what? I think it's fun. Like I just came out of a podcast. We're talking about the real world assets and tokenization and all that. And it's going to go through the same thing. And guess what? People are like, oh no, it's crashing. It's a Ponzi. I think people are going to talk about it until we're not talking about the technology itself. People are going to say like, oh, this is a Ponzi scheme. Don't get on it. Things like that. So I can't wait to stop talking about blockchain and talking about more like the value add the blockchain brings, right? And that's going to be the I would say the super something anything that change. I think that will be the catalyst. So
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. The ownership and freedom of trade
yeah,
and speed of trade
speed
too.
of trade as well.
Yep.
So all right. So Theo, what do you want? Yeah, go ahead, man.
Sorry, just speaking on that. Imagine when people are listing their houses on OpenSea.
Oh man.
You go to your bank. I just need to buy this house on OpenSea. Can you fund me?
Yeah. And can you really like all the people who are going to do that? Like the privacy. There would be a privacy. I can go to Nathan's wallet and see, hey Nathan,
How many houses you got?
how many houses you got, Nathan?
Yeah.
So mate, the reason why we got you here is we really would like to talk to you about golf. Sorry, no, not golf. Sorry. We'll be here for about 10
I was
hours.
about to say, how long have you got?
So you've been doing some great stuff with your event space. Like like
Mm.
we do our monthly meetup, and we know it's just like it's always like until the last hour. It's always crazy. I don't know
Yeah.
however you plan, right? And with the event that you guys put together, the NFT Melbourne, right? And it was such a great event. You guys had some really prominent people in the space and got some really good value. It was not like something that was put out like, okay, like here's some stuff. Okay, just go. You had some great planning. You had some great activities. Good people came in there and did some really amazing things. And from outside, it was just flawless, right? So I would really love to hear what was your thought process of, okay, how did you come up with the idea? Was it like over some beers one Friday night, or and then it just snowballed from there? I would love to know that.
Well, firstly, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. We almost killed ourselves with I mean, with both of the big ones that we've done, but particularly the second one. There was a lot of thought that went into it, and a lot of planning, and a lot of time. I was basically doing 50, 60 hours in this business, and then probably the same in that one. So I wasn't. My brain was completely fried. I didn't want to speak to anyone after that show, but mate, yeah. So in 2021, Mark and I, who's my main co-founder, we also have another business partner, but the idea stemmed from the two of us and missing out on NFT NYC, VCon, and all the other events that were overseas, particularly in North America, and some of the European ones we wanted to get to as well. But we were sort of like, this is nuts. Like, we're just out of lockdown, so sort of like traveling is probably not going to be that fun because it's like you're just going to get slowed down with checks and scans and all the rest of it. So why can't we bring something here, and also tie it into this agency Lucky NFT that we want to build, and use the event really as our initial offering to the space and say, hey, we're not here for anything transactional. The first thing we're gonna do is a mostly free show. The first one was out of the 1,000 people that we had the first year, probably 550 to 600 was free tickets, and then the rest was like $20-$30, right? Wow. So we didn't make any money, but it's not why we did it. So the idea was create an experience here that could rival what they're doing over there without the need to travel over there, right? Yeah. And then really cement what we knew was that Melbourne is, it's the culturally, from a music and arts perspective, no one can argue that it's the epicenter of the country. So because of what Web3 encapsulates, why couldn't that be the case for Melbourne too? So we went ahead and did that. Our business partners own the venue that we did it in, so it made it very easy to sort of put that together from an operational standpoint. And we really wanted to, bring everyone together, tail end of lockdown, especially in Melbourne. We copped it. We were locked down for the longest period anywhere in the world in terms of cities, right? So it just so happened that 3 days before the event, the venue cap law or regulation, whatever it was, lifted, so we could fill the whole thing. From all accounts, no one caught COVID, which was amazing. But February 2022 was our first show, and we wanted to bring everyone that we knew that was putting legitimate work in from an Australian standpoint. We wanted them there. Because of COVID, we couldn't get Betty and Syke there, and we weren't doing virtual guests for that first event. And Vultura was in Sydney. He was about to come, but he didn't come. Aside from those two, we basically had everyone in Melbourne, as long as out of the people we were aware that were sort of active and doing things, quote unquote properly. We sort of had them there, which was awesome. People did not expect that first one. There was a line outside that wrapped around the block twice. There was probably 700 people outside because everyone rocked up at once, and we had to try and get like 900 people in the doors in the first hour. And for anyone that runs a venue will know how hard that is. So we had to push back the speakers a little bit, but no one expected. They literally, everyone was like, I legitimately thought there'd be 150, 200 people here, and they rocked up, and it was like 30 grand done over the bar. People going wild, like it went on into the early hours of the night, and it was a great opportunity for everyone to meet all of their fellow community members who they've been talking to on Discord over the lockdown period, and be able to have people flying from around the country and actually get to start to build these bonds in person. And a lot of people still, particularly that first one, they still credit our event for businesses they've created, obviously friendships that they've forged, and networks that they've sort of built out. That event was really what kicked off a lot of that. So naturally, for the second event, which was March of this year, it feels like 3 years ago, but it was March of this year, we wanted it to be, obviously we wanted to take our learnings from the first one and apply it to this, but also lift the bar considerably so that it really was world class. So that's what you saw as a result. And it took not just the ideas and our execution, it took the collaboration of the Giant Swans, the Secure D's, the rest of the panelists, the speakers, the crew, the team from Oshi that brought in these 80-inch Samsung screens and did the gallery. They dressed up the side room, like all of these people that we've become friends, genuinely friends with. Giant Swan, who did the VR thing, bought that gear for the show because we couldn't find a proper supplier to rent it to us. Like, this is how committed these people are, that are absolutely crushing it in within their own discipline. and they were just going out of their way to help put the show on. So yes, we came up with a lot of the concepts, but without firstly our team, but also all of those partnerships and the help, there's no way we could have pulled that off. But we were so thrilled and so proud of what we did earlier this year, not only on that main day and afterwards, but also the event before and the event after, and of course the amount of sponsors and exhibitors that supported us, not only financially but all of the other things that they brought to the party. It was just it was a beautiful thing to see in the middle of a bull market, that come together and still have 450, 500 people come out to a show.
Oh man, that was really good. I mean, like we thoroughly enjoyed because I never been to a bad event, really, because I think you start appreciating whether it's all the build up to that event, right? It's everyone go out there and people, the organizers are constantly worried throughout the day. They're putting out fires. I mean, literally sometimes putting out fires, right? So
we had no Wi-Fi until about 3 hours before the doors opened. So.
I remember we just walked in. I think we saw you, you're passing out, and he's like, "Oh, actually, I had to get this Wi-Fi.
That's right. We did see.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
because we were like 2-3 hours early.
We were 2-3 hours. We were so keen. We woke up early, and my God, like you said earlier, like it's you get to know a lot of people who are really there to lift your friends and your business partners and even the wider network, and that's what we notice here on the Gold Coast. Like even with our meetup, even that what we do monthly, you can see like everyone sharing those posts and getting involved because they want to be part of this thing. They don't know how, but this is how they're going to be part of it, and that's we had to appreciate everyone's time and effort that they bring in.
100%.
So what was with regards to these NFT Melbourne event that we attended this year? How did you go about getting that the venue, for example? What was that process? Was it like, okay, we know exactly where to hold our event? Was it simple as, okay, look, okay, these are the days available, okay, good. Was it as simple as, okay, look, we have everything organized here, just turn up the week before? Or
I've got a great story about that, and also a little bit of a learning in terms of like how to adapt and move when things aren't going how you plan. So
yes,
our grand scheme was, when we were looking for venues, I was convinced that the bear market would not affect attendee numbers, because I felt that there was already enough interest out there that the curiosity would drive ticket sales. I was wrong about that, particularly because it also bounced into a recession as well, which obviously, I mean, just all events were struggling, not Web3 related. So I was wrong. I'm happy to say I was wrong. But the initial grand plan was our business partners own that venue that we did the event in. Behind that venue, there's a laneway, and there's another venue that essentially their front door connects to our back door. There's literally a laneway separates it, and that venue holds 1,500 more people. So we were going to have the main, let's call it auditorium / speaking area in the venue we had. And then all the exhibitors were going to be in the other venue, and we're going to do a bunch of other activations across it. Now, first week of ticket sales went really well. And then Christmas happened, and then everyone essentially, it was our first real Christmas period out of lockdown, like proper extended period. So a lot of people went away. So we were off the radar. Like we couldn't get any traction for most of January. So we sort of made a call third week of Jan to pull the plug on the second venue. So we readapted, spoke to, like, Oshi already planned for an activation in the other venue. We got them to sort of replan to where we ended up doing it in the bunker at Billboard. And we just had to sort of adapt a lot of things around scheduling, etc. But yeah, like the main, I guess the main, and the other part I forgot to mention was we were looking at another venue, like different venues elsewhere that would hold a larger amount of people because we wanted to go bigger. Now, obviously, with that comes a very higher venue fee. So luckily, we didn't do that because we were able to do it with the deal that we did with our business partners within the venue we ended up doing it in. So it all worked out in terms of having the flexibility to sort of make those dynamic decisions on the fly based on how things were going. So our decision process, was made a lot easier by the fact that the crew already owned the venue. And not only was that commercially really beneficial for us, but we obviously that they run that venue many, many days of the week, every week of the year. They have functions in there and they know how to operate, right? And we know, obviously, we know them very well in terms of the operational people in the venue too. So it just made everything a lot easier. I think if it was done somewhere else and we didn't know the people within it, well, I know for sure it would have been harder. It would have been more stressful. And also the venue is literally below the office. Oh, and I forgot to mention. So in with the event, level 8 above the actual main venue, we ended up using the office space and the balcony for some of the activations. I completely forgot about that. So that was beneficial as well because it was such a nice, beautiful balcony out there and a big office space where we could hold the workshops and the paint and sip and some of those activations. So it just worked out really beautifully for us.
The paint and sip, that was awesome. I did the check.
I wasn't on that one.
That was I went and I found out.
I was watching Giant Swan work his magic in VR, which was a great experience. Yeah,
that was cool. One. Those two activations were my favorite. They were they were done really well. So we're really lucky to have people like that sort of help us out. But man, that's how we sort of went about the venue piece.
Yeah, and I guess on top of the venue, like there's the venue sorting that out, making sure it's all good. You can account for the numbers and it's not too overpacked, health and safety. How do you go about scheduling everybody in? So first of all, you've got to go reach out to everybody. They come back, say, yeah, cool, that sounds awesome. I'll come speak. How do you go about scheduling and organizing all of that for you?
AI, mate. AI.
Man. I was doing it all myself.
Theo.ai.
Correct. I was basically a robot at that stage. Really good question. Particularly, we had two people in LA as well. So they had to both be earlier in the day because it's, it would be later at night there. So, and Spotty was hosting an event. Like he literally got a room at the venue that he was hosting the event to come and speak to us and then go back after the show.
And go back and party.
So it was super tight. So basically you sort of set, reach out and say, hey, what are your preferences? This is what we're thinking roughly. This is the time period roughly, particularly for the international guests. The ones that are coming usually come for most of, if not the whole show. So it's a lot easier with them. But we try and sort of prioritize like who has really tight windows. Let's try and get them in. But also you got to think about the flow.
Yeah.
You need to not package too many similar conversations together, in my opinion. Others do it that way. I don't think, like, I see why you do that so that people that are coming for that sort of stuff, but I think it just gets a little bit mundane or monotonous if you're doing too much in a row. So we try to sort of mix it up a little bit and sort of cater to, from a time slot perspective, the people that we think, and also have, really high up, the higher profile or the people that we think most people are coming for after the breaks, because that's when it's hardest to get people back into the room. So there's a lot of things to consider around, keeping the energy. And I guess it comes from sort of running nightclubs or running my own parties and performing and all that sort of stuff. You sort of already have all those thoughts in your mind, so you just need to apply it to this type of event instead.
Yeah, that's a good one, because after the breaks, I'm like, all right, I've got to go back inside because blah blah blah's on, and I don't want to miss this one. I didn't even realize.
There you go.
Yeah, that's really good. And what I love about these events is that you getting to get on these Twitter Spaces and all that, and you get to meet them, like that's the first time I
Mhm.
met Mantis, right? And it's like I walk past, but we said, okay, we'll catch up. Yeah, that's all good. You're doing this thing, and I walk past him, and he's like, Kosi. I'm like, yes, yes. Who are you? Are you Mantis? Oh, okay, yeah. Adam. And like, who's Adam? Like Mantis. Oh, yes, yes. I know you. And I think connecting with people is huge, and especially in Melbourne, loves the culture, loves the vibe. It's just like so easy to talk to people, easy to say hi, and
Yeah.
we found it very, very very cool. And every time we came down there, and we were really treated well by the whole crowd, and it almost felt like, oh, we knew most of them for for years. And we were very new, I think, when we attended the NFT Melbourne, right? Because we didn't know anyone that time.
NFT Fest was the first time you
NFT
came.
Fest.
NFT
Sorry,
Fest.
NFT Fest.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't know anyone, and and thanks to you, that's the first time we really got into our to the crowds, and since then never looked back. So we say
Yeah.
thank you to you, mate, for that,
No,
for
of course,
opening
man.
that door for us.
That's
So
what I mean. Why else are we here, right? Like, people are going to events. Well, I mean, most of the people that I engage with go to events to meet other people and make an impression and build their network or whatever their like goal outcome is. They're there for a reason. They're not there to ignore everyone and sit in the
yes,
corner and look, you do get events like that sometimes where it's like, in other industries they might just be going there just to absorb the information and don't really meet anyone. But that's the whole, like, you can get that in a on-demand online course.
correct,
You know what I mean? The
exactly,
biggest outcome, I mean, in my opinion, from going to events is coming away with having met people and the potential
100%.
of something happening as a result of
Yes,
that, whether it's literally just another person to be able to have a conversation with, all the way through to maybe a new client or a business partner.
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
And yeah, I can relate to that, as because before Blockstars, I was the home Kermit. Like, oh, what a lot of events in Brisbane from Gold Coast. I'm
Yeah,
like, no, I don't really need to go up there. I can just watch blah 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 on YouTube or go on Twitter and just absorb that information. But
Mm.
since starting with Blockstars, and we venture out to
mm,
a lot of industry events, a lot of real life events. IT industry wise,
yeah,
Web3, they're always my favorite group. And yeah, you get that real, it's a lot different than messaging someone on Twitter back and forth, or now we've got spaces, but being able to connect with people in person and see what's actually going on in real time as well, where you
yes,
can like, oh, I didn't know that was happening. And then
yeah.
you reevaluate and, oh, all right, I'm going to look at that, bookmark that in the phone. I'll come back to that later. And yeah, I reckon, yeah, real world events, you have to do it.
There's so much value
You
in
have to
them.
go out, meet people, especially within the Australian scene as well, which is,
100%.
we're pretty big on the world map for when it comes to Web3.
100%.
Yeah,
Particularly during this time, a lot of the attendees are people that are legitimately putting
Yeah.
time and effort into the space and
Mhm.
aren't so much passing by. So the types of people you can get to shake hands with and talk to, they're going to be the next leaders in the space, and
exactly.
already are. In fact, a lot of the
Ah,
people that we had at our last show, a lot of them are absolutely at the top of their game.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I realized that when I'm doing the sip and paint, like I seen like Sikia doing all these things, and I'm like, this can't be that hard, right? And I'm trying to do this, like, color the check, you know. It is not that easy. It's like going all over the place. Like, oh my, I should not be using. You
Yeah.
realize like how shaky your hands are.
In your defense, Gozzy, you probably haven't picked up a paintbrush in like 10 years before
Oh, mate.
that.
I can't even draw stick figures, so I completely understand.
But it was really good fun because there's some good banter around the around the table. It's like it was on the what do you call, the balcony,
Mm.
looking out, and it was a beautiful day as well. The weather was like,
We were lucky,
I,
yeah. We were lucky.
I don't know what they're saying about Melbourne, because every time we've been there, it's been sunny and beautiful, right?
Yeah, that's-
Yeah,
So
you've just been lucky, mate. We've copped it the last couple of days, but yeah. Look, any activity, in my opinion, any activation that helps facilitate conversation like that, and you're sort of breaking the ice and you're sort of helping people just naturally have conversations and get to know each other, have a bit of fun while doing it. It'd be silly not to throw it in, right? If you've got the space and the budget to put it together, it's such a big value add for your attendees.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. I just want to talk about your NFT ticketing,
Yeah,
right? I thought that was pretty cool. What you guys use then another tech to check in people as well at the door.
token proof. Yeah,
Yeah, right. And I would love to hear about, okay, how did that come about? Marka did like some amazing tech there. And so how did it come about? What was the ideation behind it? And what was it like to execute it
yeah.
and then go to the market and see other people getting involved and then the utility behind it? Would love to hear that, mate.
Yeah, for sure. So we wanted to do it for the year before. There just wasn't enough runway. And also token proof was brand new. Like literally we were going to be one of the first use cases, and that's just a little bit scary. Like
Yeah.
even this year was a little bit touch and go. Like
Sketchy.
a
Yeah.
couple of them didn't work, but they're going to keep building that, and all tech products need time to evolve, right? But
Of course.
so we already had it from the year before. We're like, we have to do it this time. So Mark, sort of said, hey, it wasn't actually, it was actually only a couple of months prior to the event because we will sort of touch and go, like, do we do it? We didn't even decide 100% we're going to do it until after we released the general admission tickets. So he was like, I'm going to do it. I think I know what I need to do. I'm going to go for it. It's going to be my first smart contract. Let's just do it. I'm like, awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go. And we did it in a way where it was, the idea was for them to be the elevated experience tickets where you can build in utility such as the night before dinner,
That's right.
the invite only workshops the following day, the after party, the catering during the event, all that sort of stuff was the utility, the priority access to the different workshops. All this stuff was token gated by owning these NFT tickets. So we wanted to, show that we were taking our own medicine, right? And we thought, what's an NFT event without NFT ticketing, particularly at this scale, right?
Yes.
And also it's amazing for us as an agency when we want to sort of go out to, when we really want to put the foot down and start to scale this thing and go out to the events and entertainment industry and say, hey, look, we did it in our event.
Yes.
We've used, this is how we went about it. Yes, we only did 100 of them, but it worked extremely well.
Yeah,
there was also a scavenger hunt within the event where essentially if you had the NFT ticket versus a standard paper Web2 ticket, you essentially were running your own race against others that had the NFT ticket in terms of priority of prizes. So there was multiple layers of utility that we packed into these tickets, and those holders will enjoy future utility over the coming events as we continue to do more.
100%. So what was it like, Mark? Like, obviously like you said, he was doing that's his first smart contract, and what was the journey like doing that? Was there any like hiccups that oh my god we got it wrong, or oh my god we deployed the wrong contract, oh my god, what all of that stuff, or is he just like the guy is doing some amazing if whoever is not following him on Twitter, missing out, literally missing out, right?
Yes, I'll talk about what happened after that. I'm actually trying to remember if he did the checks thing first. No. He
Checks
definitely did
after.
ours. Yeah, he definitely did our thing. So
Yeah,
he's been a developer for 2 decades. He's been, hasn't been on the tools from a Web2 perspective in the last few years, and he can obviously speak for himself, but he's a very talented and creative guy. So he sort of went for it and already had an idea, but he put in a lot of time to learn what's possible and the best way to go about it, and he nailed it. Like it was incredible how quickly he turned that around. That then got the monkey off his back, as in his words, and he went for it. After that, he did this thing with the checks project. that's essentially led to him building a fully blown digital arcade that's token gated. And he sold, I think it was like 7 or 8,000 open edition NFTs to start with shortly after our event. So I'm sure he's glad that he went down that route because it was pretty good for him.
100%, 100%. So, what was the experience like with the token proof, guys? What was it like? What did you guys had to do with your ticketing? Did you had to talk with them, get that into their platform, or what did it look like? What was the process?
Yeah, no, they're awesome. They're really awesome to work with. Obviously, they're smart in the way that they understand that it's still early and they need to be commercial with how they sort of go about things, and being the ticketing system versus charging for being a ticketing system is their priority. And I think that's a really smart way to go about it. Like if they've got runway that allows them to, not necessarily always charge for people using it, and maybe they're still working out their modeling around how they're pricing things, or what their business is commercially. But they were excellent to work with. They essentially just get you to share the contract address and what the utility needs to be, and what the business rules are, and they just build that out for you in their back end, and sort of they're available for troubleshooting. Like they were helping us in real time when it was late their time, when we were having issues and all the rest of it. So that they were excellent, and they'll continue to this next bull market, they'll I wouldn't be surprised if we see announcements of them raising serious money, or maybe who knows, they might sell it. I don't know, but the valuation of the business, I think, given the market share that they have and the brands that have continued to use their product over time, and the different things that they're shipping, they're also doing sort of almost like a payment gateway in terms of they've got different offerings, not just the tech that allows you to sort of scan those scan the tokens for access. They're also doing crypto payment gateways for ticketing, and then they sort of execute at the moment, at least at the time of when we did our event, it would spit out a Web2 ticket. I'm sure they're going to be able to spit out Web3 tickets pretty soon, but they're sort of facilitating the purchase of tickets using crypto through a payment gateway and sort of checkout page that they build on token proof. So there's lots of different applications that they're working on. So they're certainly our pick. I don't actually know if there are any other legitimate options, to be honest with you, because we were really happy with the early convos we had with Fonz, who's the founder. And the funny story about that was the initial tech was to actually scan for vaccination. So they built that originally to do that. I think they went out to win government contracts. I can't remember if they won them or if they just missed out, so they repurposed it for this. Nonetheless, the tech was originally built to sort of scan those vaccination passes, and then they pivoted it and replatformed it to turn it into what it is now.
COVID did bring some good stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Mostly bad, but some good. Yeah.
And that's interesting you say that, Theo. Like the dev team and the team all around willing to work with you, and with the business cases, like sort of if you have edge cases, they were willing to go build that in the back end to support any of those cases.
We didn't really have any. We did. I guess we had requested. I can't actually remember now. I think there was one particular thing where they hadn't done it before. I'm not sure they would have built into their product because we probably didn't give them enough time, to be honest with you. It was all pretty last minute, but they have been known to do that. Like, they'll pick up on something and then sort of put it into their roadmap. But no, they were excellent nonetheless.
Yeah, and I think because with ticketing, there's so many different use cases. Like there's so many different ticketing, and then you add NFTs on there, and you add utility. That it sounds like token proof is sort of are sort of wanting to be
platform,
very
protocol,
very lenient, adaptive to whatever use case. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's interesting. I didn't actually know that.
Yeah.
So Theo, we are nearing to our last part of the
Sure.
podcast, and I would love to talk about your music career, mate. Come on, spill some beans, mate. So how and what's that all about? Come on, you're like a resident DJ
Well,
here. Like, I mean, come on.
the back end of the story is Web3 related, but the majority of the start is not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I started running parties when I was 16. That then, sort of got me interested in DJing, and then I was sort of DJing since sort of 2002,
Yeah.
2002, maybe 2001, and then I started playing sort of nightclubs shortly after that, and sort of within my own right, within those first 7 or 8 years, I was sort of playing the festivals around, mostly in Melbourne, but I played sort of some field days up in the Goldie, and
Wow.
did a few other shows across the country, but in Perth as well. But I was mostly in Melbourne around the clubs, and I'm starting to play again now. Actually, I had a few years off to focus on business,
Yes.
sort of business outside of music.
Outside music, yes.
But yeah, like I've got a music partner as well. We've been working on an album for about 11 years. But
Good stuff.
but good things take time, and we're sort of
100%.
chipping away at that. That'll be a Web3 offering, when we get that ready. I've been saying next year for literally about 9 years, so I'm hoping next year's the year. But no, when we release it, I think there'll be, well, for sure there'll be some component of it will be Web3 related. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that, and going out and playing more shows in the coming years.
So I know a couple of sound engineers and in the music, and very creative, right? I think they I asked them, like, how do you hear these things? And like, oh, it's not that hard. You just hear all the tracks and you put them together, and like, okay, cool. And he asked me, like, so how do you do code? Like, how do you even start? And I'm like, yeah, it's easy. You know what I mean? So, and it constantly just impresses me how musicians, that I feel like musicians are like lateral thinkers. You think of so many things at the same time. I think the neural parts are being developed so well. I think musicians pick up things very fast. Not musicians per se, but if we have a love for music, if you play a music instrument, what I notice is they are technical as well. They're programmers, or they got some special higher skill. But and some of them haven't found it yet, and they're still in the on the journey of finding it.
For sure.
But in your humble opinion, right? Did you, having that music background, obviously you did music before anything else, how did that, I feel like maybe that helped you with what you're doing now as a business owner, operating multiple businesses, doing something Web2 and Web3 and everything, right? What
For
is
sure.
your
Yeah, firstly, I'm not a musician, so I don't want to offend any musicians out there in terms of, like, I can't play instruments. If you put me into a band, I'd completely fail. I can certainly play from a production standpoint, like just play things and then sort of fumble my way and cheat, but I'm definitely not a musician. But I understand what you're saying. I am creative. I'm not, ultra creative, like on a Giant Swan type level, or at that capacity, but the creativity behind, having to perform, or, construct shows, or, produce music, or whatever it might be, definitely goes hand in hand with entrepreneurship. There is an enormous amount of creativity that goes into entrepreneurship, in my opinion. And I think that because I sort of, I guess, started both at the same time, whereas entrepreneurship in the music industry, I really got to deal with a lot of aspects that helped my business career over time. And the love of music, technology, and sports, and trading cards, and all of that sort of in a melting pot, Web3 really, ties a bow around all of that, right? So as soon as I understood what the potential was from in terms of NFTs and the underlying consumer blockchain. It was just like, all right, forget everything else. This is where I need to be. And obviously, I've got my responsibilities with everything else that I'm doing, so I couldn't just drop everything and run.
Of
But it's
course.
certainly taken a lot of my attention, and yeah, I agree with you for sure. The creative aspect definitely helps.
Yep. And did the DJing also help you with doing the late nights with little sleep, Theo, while doing the
No,
events?
no, not at all, mate. I'm terrible if I don't sleep. So if I don't get 8 hours, I'm already, every
Yeah.
minute that I lose below 8 hours, my percentage of performance drops dramatically. So, if anything, it's probably made me more tired as I'm approaching my 40s. It's sort of taken a few years off my life, but yeah, mate, I'm not definitely not a night owl anymore. I used to, some of my sets wouldn't start till 5 in the morning, so I had to adapt
Wow.
to that sort of stuff. But when you're young, it's like that was in my early to mid 20s. So I'm now
Yes.
39, so there's a few years between that and now. But no, that definitely did not help at all.
Yeah.
Oh my god. No, that's so good. That's so good. Guys, I think we're coming to that time. We'll wrap it up. And Theo, oh
Yeah. Can we quickly touch base?
yeah.
Theo, have you got plans for the next NFT Melbourne coming up?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I can talk about that. So we haven't decided, but there's a very good chance we'll be changing the brand.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the name, I think we might leave the whole NFT thing behind. I think the
Yeah.
events
That's a good
probably
idea.
evolved beyond that, and just the connotations around the terminology in general sort of limit us to who we can target from an event perspective. So we're looking at, there's a street festival called the Chapel Street Festival, which used to be enormous a while ago. They're revamping
Yeah.
it after it had died off, and they stopped it probably 10 years ago or something like that. So they're revamping it. They've got the right people involved. And a friend of ours has a gallery on Chapel Street. So we're looking at a 3 to 4 day event in February, in line with his gallery, to align with that Chapel Street Festival.
Oh,
We're
nice.
just talking to all of our previous partners and sponsors at the
Yeah.
moment to see if it's viable. And if it is, we're gonna go for it, but it'll be under a new banner.
awesome,
Cool.
man.
And I think that's a good name. That's a good move to drop the NFT word, because
I think so.
NFT would not be here. I think it will be called something else. So digital assets now.
Yeah, digital collectible. Yeah.
It's called a Digital Melbourne.
Oh,
Oh
God, don't go there. Don't go there.
Oh my god, that's so funny. But yeah, I just laugh at my own jokes. Yeah, that. No, that's awesome, man. Thank you so much. And I would, and I'm saying, like, I can't wait to see more of your golf updates and your Michael Jordan updates on your Twitter
Yeah.
feed, mate.
They're unlimited, mate. They'll be coming thick and thin.
Yeah. And before we finish, Theo, is there anything else that you would like to share with the community, or is it something is there anything that we did not touch or that you want to share?
No, look,
Please go
I'm
ahead.
just, like I said, I'm just grateful to be on here chatting with you guys. It's always a good time. So,
Yeah.
that's all I need, mate. I'm happy.
Awesome. Charlie?
Awesome. No, nothing from me. Thank you for coming on, Theo. It was an
Appreciate it.
awesome chat, and I learned a bit more about your event that I had no
Yeah.
idea about as
Love it.
well.
That's it.
Love it.
So,
Like number 23, mate. Red number 23.
That's the one.
That's
the one.
That's the cheat code now.
Well, I'm talking to my boss, and I'm hoping my wife, the boss, and I'm hoping to be down in Melbourne on the 11th and 12th. So,
Yeah.
Let's
so I
go.
might see you down there,
I'll
mate.
see you at the tables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
think-
Actually, my mate's already got that planned and booked. So if I make it down, so I'll
Awesome.
let you know, man.
Love it.
Cool.
Good on
Awesome,
you,
guys. Thank you so much. And thank you for all everyone who joined us to listening to this podcast. And Theo, thank you so much for accepting the invitation to come and come on our podcast. And this is like podcast number 56, like episode number 6. So we
Awesome.
just crossed over the
56.
1 year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. It's good stuff,
So
boys.
Thank you, man. I
Thanks,
really
mate.
appreciate it. And we'll see you down in Melbourne pretty soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
All right, guys. On that note, thank you so much. And we'll see you around. See you later.
See you guys.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place.
Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe.
No, he's not under.